Segment 2, Gold and Black Live. Two of my favorite people, and I get to be right next to them for 20 minutes. And luckily for Pete, well, I don't know if it's lucky for Pete, I get to sit next to him for 3.5 hours tomorrow night. And Bart and I have known each other. Bart hired me in this job, so I'm forever grateful for that. But Bart Burrell, Pete Quinn here, and welcome to the show. I think you have both done the show. Have you done the show before?
I have,
a while,
long time ago.
And one guy likes to talk a little bit, the other one doesn't. I don't know who you can guess who that is. Is that Pete?
Well, we'll get him out of his shell.
Okay, you admit that. All right, I do want to take you back to October, the whatever date it was in 1978, and just the thought process. Is there a correlation if you were Purdue right now thinking about tomorrow night? And you had that situation. Now you had other games. You had the Michigan State game in '78 too that you had to overcome too. But you had other games. But what are they thinking? What should they be thinking tonight heading into tomorrow's game?
It's a big game. They know it's a big game. I think they're very, very confident. I think they're loose, from what I understand. Talking to some of the coaches, they just got to go out and play their game, go out and have fun. And I think they're good enough to upset them. I think they believe that. And they can't get down if there's any adversity, because there will be some. Yeah. And I think the last couple of weeks, I think it's interesting. They started 7-0, both games, came back. None of them look concerned. And so I think they just have to keep playing their game, and they should be fine.
Bart, when you look back at 40 and 41 years ago, because you as a freshman, and you didn't play as much as a freshman, but you get beat 46-0 at Ohio State.
That was all coaching.
Yeah, true. He didn't hear you over there. But still, did that have any effect at all? I mean, did you have to? Was there a part in that game where you had to say, "Yeah, we belong," or did you believe that well going in?
You have to believe that going in. In sports, if you're going to win any game, you got to think you're going to win. And between that and preparation, if you have those two things going in, you got a chance. And then you play it out and you see. I mean, as a fan, you look and you say, "Oh, we don't have a chance. We don't have." But as a player, you don't look like you don't think like that. You're just worried about specific things that you've been working on and trying to get them done.
Yeah, and have an opportunity to do something really great. Now that defense, which you guys were both on the offensive side of the ball, and but you had a pretty good defense in the junk defense, and we talked about Keena Turner. There were others on that defense. You got to practice against them, but what made that defense really special and be able to shut down not only or slow down Arch Leister that day, but also really be one of the best defenses in the country in 1978?
I didn't realize how good that defense was when I was here.
Yeah.
And then literally 5 years ago, somebody sent me the highlight tapes of 1979, and we were getting ready for the bowl game. They said Tennessee needs to try to figure out a way to move the ball against the number 3 defense in the country. Mm-hmm. I had no idea we were that good. But I knew that we had great players. Keena Turner was certainly a great player. But if you look across that whole junk defense, every one of those players were a high-level player. Even guys that like the Tom Kingsburys. Yeah. Tom was not big enough to play Division I football. All he did was make great plays. So we had great players, number one. I thought the offense was real well known because we had Mark Herman, we had Jim Young, we had Bart Burrell. And the offense was really well known, got a lot of press. But the defense was really innovative too. We had the flex defense. We were a very aggressive defense. We didn't really have any weaknesses on the defense. So defense was probably as good or better than the offense.
Yeah.
And one thing you forgot, Pete, because he's back this weekend, is Kevin Motz.
Oh,
he's still the leading tackler.
That's still an unbelievable statistic.
It's really unbelievable.
Easily, like by 40, 50 tackles. He'll never be beaten.
Number 58, Mishawaka, is that was his home?
Mishawaka, Marion.
Yeah, and really an unbelievable run stopper, and yet, I mean, you had guys that could make plays at a number of different places, and and be physical enough to I think to compete. And O'Brien made the comment, it's tough to be at Ohio State's level in terms of athleticism, but you've got to find a way in certain positions to be able to do that. You guys were able to do it then. You have to hope that Saturday night Purdue can do the same.
Mike Harris is back also, who first time he's been back since he left. And we were talking at lunch, and it was kind of fun. And he caught the winning touchdown pass against Ohio State, and he Mike Guess was the defensive back, and he got to know him
Yeah.
well afterwards. And he couldn't believe, he gave Guess a hard time, and Guess couldn't believe it. But what we had done, Coach Young had put in quick passing that game. We hadn't run it ever in our careers, but all of a sudden, instead of 15-yard outcuts, we were running 10-yard outcuts. And we were able to move the ball before they were playing way back. Well, late in the game, Mike does a quick little out, and he jumps it. Mike turns it up the field, and we get a touchdown. And Guess told Mike, he goes, I knew you were going to throw that short pass again. He just knew it. And it turned out great for the Boilermakers.
That is coaching, is it not?
It's absolutely coaching. It's creativity.
It's execution, too, by the quarterback and the receiver.
And one other interesting tidbit that Coach Young mentioned, Pete Quinn was the first center in college football to do a shotgun snap.
Yeah.
Because we're the first team to do it. He'd seen the Cowboys do it earlier, and
that took place
brought
a
it
year
out.
earlier. It was '77 is when your first time against it was against Iowa, I believe, and to play and you guys maybe you couldn't hear it because you were playing, but when they used to snap the ball for the shotgun snap, the crowd would go ooh, they would do like hey, we're lining up for this thing, and I sat in the stands. I didn't get to play. So
I've seen video of it, and if you see video of when we played, and we were just watching some.
Yeah, it's great
We just went on a
stuff.
tour of the football facility, and it looks like Mark's getting ready to punt.
Yeah.
It's not
He's
like
way
today's
back,
shotgun.
yeah.
He's way down there. And I think Coach Young was really concerned that the line couldn't pass block, so that, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but how long did that take you to get ready to do that? I mean, that was a new thing. I mean,
I still remember our offensive coordinator at the time was John Makovic.
yeah, in '77. Yeah, that's right.
77,
Yeah.
and John came in and he grabbed me before practice. He goes, I'm going to make you famous. And he goes, come here and snap this to me. He goes, and he kind of showed me how to do the shotgun snap. And the first time I tried it, it went literally 10 yards over his head. And he was a very understanding, calm man.
Yes, he was.
So he screamed at me for a while, then he showed me again. I snapped it, and Mark, trust me, will correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we ever had a bad one in our whole career. I think Mark had one fumble, and that was the first snap, the first game after he hurt his thumb, his senior year against Notre Dame. And so he wasn't ready for the pain that he got, but we were really good at that.
Yeah. The common thread, and Pete and I have had this discussion many times, and Bart probably as well, the common thread of Purdue's best teams, and not that all Purdue football players over the history have been successful, but you guys have had a very interesting and eclectic and yet very successful group. You've got Dean Borgione, who's runs a place in Napa. The next time we get out there, we'll have to say hello. But you've got guys that have done. How fun is that to get back and see the ones that you haven't seen for a while and find out where their lives have turned out? That's got to be a big deal. I'll start with you, Pete. You always go down the whole list of guys that we
Right.
don't always know about. We know the Burrells and the Hermans and the Quinns to some extent, but some of the guys that we might not know about that are doing it. Paul Hanna being one, I know.
Yeah, I learn a lot when we have these little reunions because I do a little research, and I was putting together some talking points for the public address announcer tomorrow. We had 31 guys that played during the Jim Young era that went on to play at the professional level. I had no idea we had that many, and there were some of my teammates I had pretty good relationships with. I didn't realize they played 2 or 3 years in the NFL. So we had some guys who were pretty talented on the field, but I think every single guy you talk to, if you ask him what do you attribute your success to, almost all of them mention playing for Coach Young. Jim was really he's a disciplinarian. He was strict. He was way ahead of his time. He was innovative. He was demanding. We had to be there at a certain time. He had to do things a certain way. And we all learned a lot of great life lessons, and we got done with football. Everybody got done. I think Mark played the longest in the NFL. But eventually we were all done playing football, most of us right after college. We just took that same work ethic, I think, into real life. And what's cool about our team is a lot of guys have had personal success, but also not just as in business, but just as men.
Yeah, as people.
Bart's been married to the same woman for 33 years. Mark Herman's been married for 38 years. All our kids graduate from college. It's kind of cool to see what everybody's done, but there's a lot of success stories. There's very few bad stories.
Yeah.
Most of the guys are real successful. They ain't come from success. Paul Hanna's the CEO for a large company in Cleveland. I think his dad was a plumber. You know, Dean Bordigione owns a winery. His dad was a bartender. You know, it's just kind of cool to see what everybody's done with their lives.
Yeah, Bart, Jim Young, and you and I have had this discussion over the years, the consummate role model of how to live a life, but also an examined life. I mean, here, Jim, and we're going to give him a chance to talk about this, but the things he's done outside of football, but also his brilliance has shown through from football at Purdue to go into Army and changing to a wishbone. He's constantly reinvented himself. It has to be, you almost have that John Wooden type relationship with a guy like Jim Young in terms of what he's been.
Absolutely. It's fun. Mark and Pete and I have had an opportunity to go out and visit him a couple
Yeah.
of times, and it's a lot of fun. He and his wife, Coach Young would say they've changed roles.
Yeah.
He's now taking piano lessons.
I want to hear about that.
And she plays golf all the time. So, yeah, he's an amazing guy who to this day has not stopped setting goals for himself.
Yeah.
And when he sets them, he gets them. He
Yeah.
achieves them.
I loved his book that I still don't know if he ever published, but Bart shared it with me, and I've kept a copy. It's just just fascinating in terms of his perspectives and how he has seen and constantly worked things. We'll talk about that with him in the next segment. So, all right, guys, tomorrow it is a great challenge, and what's your perfect scenario for Purdue tomorrow, and outside of outscoring Ohio State? What would you like to see happen? What do you think needs to happen early on for Purdue tomorrow?
I think the first 3 games were so tough on Purdue fans because we were so close. This team is so close to being 6-0, but I think it was Parcells that once said, "You are what your record says you are." So we're 3-3. You got to forget those first 3 games. What I want to see tomorrow is I want to keep seeing the improvement. I think every week, the defense particularly, I think the offense was pretty good at the beginning. Defense is getting more experienced every week. They get a little bit better each week. I'd like to see them take a big jump tomorrow, and I'd like to see the defensive backs have some success and maybe hold the Ohio State under their average, and I think they will. I think the front offensively, I'd like to see them just continue to have success. And I think if they play their game, they got a legitimate shot. I don't even know what the professionals are saying what the point spread is, but I like our chances.
Yeah, about the same one as it was. It's about 12 to 13 points. I mean,
Okay.
about when you look at it, obviously, in windy conditions or whatever it's going to be, guys got to catch balls. They've got to execute. But what do you look for tomorrow?
I'm hoping for an exciting game.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 6 games have all been exciting.
Yeah.
Purdue's back. They're competitive. They've got opportunities to win every week. And if that happens again tomorrow, I'll be happy with that. And I'd like to see us pull out the victory, and I think we can. As far as throwing the ball and catching the ball in the wind, that's probably worse than rain or cold or anything else. So are they still talking 20-mile-an-hour
Yeah,
wind
I
and
think so.
40-mile-an-hour gust?
Yeah.
If we could just have the gust when they have the ball,
Yeah.
that would be good.
They could sail a couple. That'd be a
Yeah,
good
exactly.
thing. Yeah, I think you're on to something there. So, all right, you guys behave tonight. I know you will, and a whole day worth of activities tomorrow too for the class. And it's really guys all throughout the Jim Young era. It's not just the team 78 team. You've got.
Well, I started it as a 40th reunion of the 78 team, and then about halfway through the process, I started thinking of guys that weren't on that team, and I wanted them here, so we just made it the Jim Young era reunion.
Yeah.
So anybody that played football with Jim, and I think we've got 76 former players, 8 former coaches, 5 cheerleaders, 2 Golden Girls, and 3 Boiler Babes, all back. So
And will
good
you guys
turnout.
be on the field at all tomorrow? Is that part of the plan?
They are going to they're going to introduce the team at the first time out of the 3rd quarter.
Well, Purdue ought to be up 17 at that point.
Yeah,
We're good. So
there
you
that's
go.
Perfect. So.
Well, now the next, you get Pete and I off these chairs, and you bring in 2 college football Hall of Famers. How cool is that?
That is very cool. That's the draw of this show, though.
And get rid of 2 that should have been, and we still haven't figured that out.
Oh,
There was a
post-mortem.
Yeah.
miscount of the votes, I think. That might have been
Exactly.
it. So, all right. Well, we'll look forward to. We appreciated Bart and Pete joining us for this segment. We really look forward to Mark Herman and Jim Young to join us. As Bart said, a couple of Hall of Famers. We'll look forward to doing that in a couple of minutes on Gold and Black Live.